Have you ever dreamt of living on the lake but feel like you've got to wait until retirement to do it? You don't have to do that. Welcome to Lake Lanier. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you every town that touches the lake, the pros and cons of living in each town, real numbers, and we're also going to be discussing, if you're looking for an investment property, which areas allow short-term rentals and which don't. My name is Kelly Allen, and I'm with KELLY+CO, and I specialize in moving people into the metro Atlanta area and really making sure that you guys pick the perfect place to call your new home.
Isn't that nice?
This is nice.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. How much does a boat like this cost? A lot.
Yeah, about, I don't know. It's cheaper than it looks. It's like, $750.
This is
$750.
$750. Oh, I was like $750,000. No. So in today's video, I'm going to take you from the south side of the lake and all the towns that make up that part up to the north side of the lake. And let's first start with Cumming, Georgia. Now, I'm going to go ahead and reference the video I did here on Cumming. I love this little town. And Cumming has about 200 miles of shoreline on Lake Lanier. It's located in Forsyth County, and it has some of the highest ranked schools on the lake. So if you're thinking about moving here and your kids are still in school, you're going to want to probably focus on Forsyth County as your top pick. Now, here's something important to know about living in Cumming on the lake, or really anywhere in Forsyth County on the lake. You cannot have a short-term rental on the lake. So if you are thinking about purchasing a property, using it as a second residence, and Airbnb-ing it or VRBOing it part of the time, you cannot do that in Forsyth County, so don't make that mistake here. Now, let's talk about how you'll get into the city. So you're gonna have a direct line into Atlanta coming down Georgia 400. And it's gonna take you about 45 minutes to an hour to get into the city, and that's going into Buckhead. If you're working a little bit further south, it'll take you a little bit longer. If you're working north of the city, it won't take you as long. The commute down into Atlanta, how often do you have to do that anymore?
Once or twice a week.
Okay.
And when the traffic's good, it is 56 minutes.
Okay.
We live downtown too on the Beltline.
Oh yeah.
So we have to go through the downtown connector, which is a nightmare. But most people who look up here are around 285 Alpharetta and stuff. Yep. So it's even shorter. 30 minutes. Now let's talk about the numbers, the real estate numbers. So as of this recording, there are 35 homes for sale incoming on the lake. They range in price from $380,000, which will get you a condo on the lake, up to about $3.65 million. The median active listing right now is priced at $1.35. And $1.35 is going to get you a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, renovated home on the lake with lake views, and even a double slip boat dock. So this video is all about people considering, like, not waiting to live on the lake for retirement. Like, just go ahead and do it and live on the lake.
Oh, that was our best decision, absolutely.
Where did you move from?
We're all originally from New York. Right,
okay,
New York,
got it,
everything.
yeah. And so how long have you lived on Lake Lanier?
It shocks me. It's 20 years since we bought a house. Yeah.
Okay. And so where did you move from? Or did you first buy a house to have as a second house?
This is the second house.
Okay.
We own a house in Atlanta.
Okay.
But more and more we spend 90% of our time here.
The second town we're going to talk about on Lake Lanier is Buford, Georgia. Now, Buford straddles two counties, Gwinnett County and Hall County. And it has a very small amount of shoreline, only 28 miles of shoreline on Lake Lanier. So you're not going to have a lot of opportunities to be in Buford on the lake, but there are some. If you're looking for an investment property, maybe you want to buy a lake house, live in it part-time, you can do short-term rentals in Buford or in Gwinnett, Hall County. So that's your goal with buying on the lake, then know that Gwinnett and Hall County, you can do that. One interstate is going to get you into and out of Buford, and that is I-85, which turns into I-985. You're going to be about an hour commute from the city, and you're going to be about probably an hour and a half or so to the airport.
And September 22nd of 2004, we bought our lake house, which was considered kind of like a fixer-upper, and I mean, now it's probably worth like 1.5. And
wow. Right now there are 16 listings for sale on that 26 miles of shoreline. So actually quite a bit of inventory in Buford. The price range is going to be between $725,000 and $1.3 million, with that median listing price being about $1.2. So what can you get for $1.2 in Buford on the lake? You're going to get a renovated 1-story with a finished basement. You're going to get a single slip dock with a party deck on the top and great views of the lake. What's your favorite thing about living on the lake?
Well, I live little north of where we are now. I don't know if you can see it, but we're in a very wooded and more isolated part of the lake, which I really like.
Okay.
Because we're surrounded on our property by hundreds of acres of trees and green. In fact, on a clear day, if we're a little north of here, you can see the mountains.
All right, next up we have Flowery Branch in Hall County. So there's about 100 miles of shoreline in Flowery Branch on Lake Lanier. Now, the public schools here, not as good as Buford and as Cumming. You're gonna have about a 5 or 6 out of 10 on greatschools.org and anywhere from an A to a B- on niche.com. So if you've got kids and public schools are really important to you, you might want to really research Flowery Branch before you move there. If you're an investor, short-term rentals are allowed here, but there is a 2-night minimum. So just be aware of that. But trust me, everyone that's coming to the lake is going to stay at least 2 nights, probably at least 3 or 4. So there are 2 marinas that serve Flowery Branch. One is the Safe Harbor Marina and the second is Hideaway Marina. Both of these are beautiful marinas. Flowery Branch, just like Buford, is served by the Interstate 985, but you're a little bit further north now than you were in Buford. So right now there are 15 listings for sale in Flowery Branch on Lake Lanier. They range in price from $635,000 up to almost $4 million. That median list price is right about 1.6. So what are you gonna get on this part of the lake for 1.6 million? Well, you are gonna get a fully renovated 4,600 square feet, 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath home with a dock with incredible views of the lake.
I would say if I was working out in downtown Atlanta or in Atlanta, this is the north part of the lake pretty much. For people who are still working, I would say the south side of the lake they love. It is more of a manicured feel.
Okay.
More of a traditional, nice suburban community feel, and much quicker. So I would think, what do you want? Do you want an escape? Do you want a main home?
Yeah.
You have to decide, but this lake has everything, which is what I like about it.
So now we're going to work our way a little further north and go into a tiny town called Oakwood, which is also in Hall County. So school-wise, not the greatest or highest ranking public schools, so you're going to want to do your research with that. But if you're not looking for great public schools, Oakwood might be a good possibility for you, although you're not going to have many options. As of this recording, there's only 2 homes for sale in Oakwood on Lake Lanier, and they're priced at $765,000 and $2.7 million. You can do the math on what the median is there. There's also not a marina in Oakwood, but that's okay because you're close to the Gainesville marinas. Now, median sales price in Oakwood, as of this year, is just over $1 million and $1,055,000, and that's up 12% year over year. What would be a con of living on the south side of the lake?
I think the con of living on the south, we didn't want to live on the south side because we did not want a suburban feel. With a lawn and all that, so that's our personal prep. But if a lot of people like that, it's much closer to Atlanta, so that would be but the con for me would be reverse of just what I said. We did not want to look like we were in Dunwoody on the lake.
Sure,
No offense to Dunwoody.
We just shot a video on Dunwoody, so they'll know what you're talking
about. It's a great place.
All right, so something that I mentioned at the beginning of the video that you have to know about if you're looking at Lake Lanier is going to be docks. Do not make the assumption that just because you're buying a house on the lake that you're going to get a dock. They are not giving out any more dock permits on Lake Lanier. So unless you buy a home that already has a dock or someone stops renewing their dock permit, you're not getting a dock permit. So make sure that you know before you buy, does the property that you're buying have a dock permit and is it up to date and when is the next time that it needs to be renewed? The second thing we ask is what's the depth at that dock? The depths of the lake can vary substantially, especially during drought season. Sometimes they can go down as low as 10 feet, which means that when that happens, there are going to be some homes whose docks aren't touching water anymore. So when you're buying a property on the lake, you want to ask, what's the current depth at the dock? And what is the depth of the dock during drought season? This is a hugely important question to ask, especially as you get deeper and deeper into the coves on the north side of the lake. So what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about moving to the lake full time and they're not yet retired?
Oh, that was, like I said, the best thing you can do is do it when you're young. Because, if I've got friends that are my age that are trying to buy on the lake right now, and you can't afford it.
Yeah.
And so we were stretched for the first 5-10 years. We maxed out a little bit, but now it's like we're living comfortably and we enjoy it. We got everything we need.
Life is short, right?
Yeah, you got to enjoy it.
Buy the lake house, buy the boat.
Buy the lake house, buy the boat. Yeah, spend all the money on the toys.
All right, so now we're going to go a little bit further north. We have not hit the top of the lake yet, but we're almost there. Now we're in Gainesville, Georgia. And Gainesville has the majority of Hall County's shoreline with over 200 miles of it. So let's talk about schools in Gainesville. They're getting a little bit better here. So they're gonna be anywhere from a 6 to an 8 on greatschools.org and around an A or so on niche.com. So do your research, but this is another area that if you've got kids and you want to go public schools, this is going to be a good area for you to focus on. Eric lives in Gainesville. We talked about Gainesville. Talk to me about the pros and cons of living on Gainesville and the lake.
All right, so we're on the north end of the lake, which is a lot more quiet. I mean, and it's definitely gotten busier over the years, but sometimes if I want to come down to this is where the craziness is down here, the south part of the lake. Everybody knows that if you know the lake, right? But so if we want to come out and get to the crazy part, we come down here. If we want to come out and have a chilled out day, relaxing day, we come out of our cove and head north.
Okay, got
it.
Which
is for my wife. My wife's an introvert, so she enjoys going north.
Okay, got
more often than.
And you like going south down here.
Yeah, right. So we kind of balance that.
I would say if I was working out in downtown Atlanta or in Atlanta, this is the north part of the lake pretty much. For people who are still working, I would say the south side of the lake they love. It is more of a manicured feel, more of a traditional, nice suburban community feel, and it's much quicker. So I would think, what do you want? Do you want an escape? Do you want a main home?
Yeah.
You have to decide, but this lake has everything, which is what I like about it.
Now, the further north we go, the more rural it's going to feel in these areas. And in Gainesville, you're definitely going to feel like you're away from it all, which is exactly what people love about living in Gainesville. If you're an investor and you're looking at purchasing a property, Hall County is a great place to do it because they do allow short-term rentals. And you've got my favorite marina on the lake in Gainesville, and that is where we're shooting today. That's the Port Royale Marina. So there's two major interstates that are going to take you from Gainesville down into the city. And one of them is I-985, and the other one is going to be Georgia 400, which Georgia 400 is probably going to be the interstate that you're going to take to and from work when you're living on the lake in Gainesville. Right now, there are about 40 homes for sale on the lake in Gainesville, and they're gonna range anywhere from $235,000 up to $4.9 million, with that median list price being right about $1.12 million. So what do you get for just over $1 million in Gainesville on the lake? Well, you're gonna get a renovated home with about 4,100 square feet with lake views and a private covered dock.
And it's very clean water. I don't know how much you know about Lanier.
I don't know how clean the water. They talk about how Allatoona has the cleanest water of any lake in Atlanta. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's correct.
Yeah?
I've been there.
Okay.
I think it's much shallower lake.
Yeah.
And I don't want to criticize Allatoona.
Yeah.
It's much more shallow lake. It drains out of a different river basin. I won't bore you, but this Lake Lanier is formed by the combination of the Chattahoochee River, which starts, up in the mountains out of a clear stream, and then the Chestatee River, which starts in a clear stream on this. So it goes through no city, no nothing before it gets here. So it is fresh spring water. You can drink out of it if people aren't boating it.
All right, the last town that touches Lake Lanier shoreline that we're talking about today is Dawsonville, and that's in Dawson County. Now, Dawsonville is going to put you on the north end of the lake. Let's talk about commute times. Now, this is going to be your longest commute into the city. You're looking at probably an hour and a half to get into the city, close to 2 hours to get down to the airport. Short-term rentals are allowed in Dawson County. So if you're an investor, this is a great area that you want to focus on. So right now there are about 20 homes for sale in Dawsonville on the lake, and they're going to range anywhere from $650,000 up to $2.5 million. Now the median sales price is 1.17, which is up 26% year over year, which shows that more and more people are ready to invest in real estate on the north end of the lake. And those aren't just people who are retiring. Those are people who are working from home, who can live anywhere they want, and they're choosing to go to where they can get more of a bargain on the lake even if it means they're further away from the city. So now we've covered every town that touches the lake. Now I want to talk to you about the pros and cons of living on the south side of the lake versus the north side of the lake. So let's talk about the south side of the lake first, which when I think about the south side of the lake, I'm thinking about Cumming and Buford. So you've got the best schools on this side of the lake. You've got great shopping and a lot to do on this side of the lake as well. However, you've got denser development. So this area was developed first. You're going to have more traffic. You're going to have a lot more stuff that's close together. So you're going to be more congested in this area, which brings me to another con, which is traffic. You are going to have more traffic in this area and you're going to have higher prices. And some say that the south side of the lake is much busier than the middle or the north side of the lake. I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is something to consider. All right, now let's talk about the middle part of the lake and the pros and cons associated with that. So the middle part of the lake is going to be Flowery Branch, Oakwood, and Gainesville. So here you're going to get more of that balanced lifestyle. If you're looking to have that feeling you're really getting away from everything, that this is going to be an area that you might want to focus on. Let's see, you'll be very happy with the amenities that you have. You're going to get good values with real estate, and you're going to have a lot of charm in these areas. Cons, schools are kind of iffy here, so you're going to want to do your research on those, and you're going to have moderate traffic here. All right, the north side of the lake is Dawsonville. So the pros here, it's quiet, you've got a rural lifestyle, and you've got a very quiet section of the lake. The cons though, you're gonna have a longer drive into the city, fewer services, and really basic healthcare options. You don't have access to big hospitals, big medical developments like you do in the middle and the south side of the lake. So if you're dreaming of having a lake house and you know life is short and you wanna do it before you retire, Lake Lanier is an amazing option for you. So if you're dreaming of living on the lake full time, or maybe even having a little rental property on the lake, drop a comment below. I'll see you in the next video.